ahefo yema obi biara akwaba edeba Al-FAROUK TV as well. Today happens to be one of the days for this segment there. Kwakoye more of English than the tree, but we will try and blend it. So welcome to Al-FAROUK TV, and I am your host Al-FAROUK. And today we are going to have an important conversation about the real state of the nation. And my guest today is Mr. Amos Diodu. So, Mr. Amos Diodu, you are
Yes, sir.
welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, today happens to be your first day
Yeah.
on this show or
Sure.
on this platform. That's Al-FAROUK TV. Please, can you brief us about yourself?
Well, just as you mentioned, I go by Amos Nyamadiobi. And I would say I'm a social commentator. So I look at trending issues and then add my voice if need be. Yeah. So basically, that is how I want to introduce myself
Okay.
as a social commentator.
Okay. So, viewers, you all heard it by yourself. The current economy of the country, and then we will tackle health, education, jobs, agriculture, energy sector, corruptions, and youth empowerment in the country. So these are the areas we are going to talk about. The MPP government left in power with high dollar to cedi rates, high fuel price, and high inflation. Now we have a new government who comes with a low fuel price, a decrease in inflation rates, and then the dollar to cedi has also appreciated. So with all this, I seem it not to be necessary to have any discussion on economy because the economy is doing well. You being a social commentator, maybe you are having a different perspective about this economy. So, Mr. Amos, is the economy not good?
Thank you for the question. So the politicians will come and they will say this. At the end of the day, it's for us to also look at the issues and tackle them head on. So normally you realize the politicians are interested in numbers. So inflation is this, currently is 3.4. The exchange rate is this value. This is that value. And obviously that will score political points for them. So however they want to do to get the numbers to certain level will be their priority. So for we, the citizens, we are not only interested in the numbers, but how you even arrive at those numbers. So for instance, you talked about inflation. So we all know basically inflation is the rate of change in prices. It is said the normal bo ebe kosoro na ebe gina faako no. Eno na ye inflation. So what happens is when we have a lot of money chasing a little goods, inflation will go high. So if you have excess money chasing limited goods, inflation will naturally go high. Anything I will who say, when there's a particular food produce and it is in season, say we are in toast aba, ne boyful because items in the doors. But items in the kakra bi na sika bebre na chase sa item na inflation ne cost. So this is the fundamental the politicians should tackle to solve the inflation problem. But they do not do that. In Tinka, who person will solve inflation? you have two main channels. The first one is to increase your produce so that you have the same money chasing more produce. So in the agri sector, you increase food production. In the production sector, you increase your merchandise production. And then naturally, the inflation will reduce. But they know all this. But at the end of the day, how would they reduce the inflation rate? They rather use monetary policy. Nti root cause na ɛwɔ hɔ sɛ yɛwɔ limited goods a sika bebree chase nti ama inflation akɔ high no. Instead of them boosting our agric and our production sector, now goods na dɔɔso to match up with the money, they won't do that. So the monetary policy the government is doing, be OMO, open market operations. In the open market operations, to say the maker say when there's excess money chasing limited goods, inflation will go high. The government will make sure say we don't have excess money in circulation. And how will the government do that? The government need to derive a mechanism or the back aqua central bank where it will reduce the money with us and the central banks. Sorry, and the commercial banks. Into one open market operation. So what happens? Let's say number one, Obama bank rate above form. So see the bank rate hovers around 16%. Nti ɛno yɛ sɛ bi a meme kɔgye loan wɔ bank a ahe a interest ɔmo de bɛto so, that's the 16%. Nti o reduce no saa na afei banks ne nim sɛ ɔmo de sika ne man a ɔmo benya 16%. Then they introduce something we call Bank of Ghana bills, which only the banks have access to, the commercial banks, GCB ne ade. Then the government will make, so currently it is that bond is being sold to the central banks, the commercial banks at 30%. It is a whole bank, and if you go to Bank of Ghana bills, you are getting 30%, but who this kanema timemfona ubenya 16% interest. If you are a commercial bank, you put a chunk of your money in purchasing the Bank of Ghana bills. So that is the strategy or the beji scanning in our central bank to mop up excess liquidity. In the American, the government would directly reduce the amount of money in circulation because a chunk of the money is with the central banks, and they will put all those monies with the central bank. Into the say, unlike any investment firm who is investment, by law and structure, Bank of Ghana cannot use Sikana obenya free commercial bank for investment. Into the way say OPP maturity no so ano what 30% na banks no. Into where the inflation no baba form because you've reduced the money in circulation. But since you are not using the money for investment now, you just pay the interest. Always the Bank of Ghana will run loss. Until last year, look at the report nearby now. The Bank of Ghana has a net loss of 15 billion cedis. Mino say this year in C year, into an equity loss of 96 billion. It could be more, it could be less, it could be worse, it could be better. At the moment, you have a bank running at negative 96 billion cedis in equity loss. And this is even insolvent than banks. Banks now you collapse your money. They were not even up to this level of policy insolvency. So that is how bad the whole thing is. The Obenya figure amount, so inflation at 3.4. But the way now, or the way you sue inflation above from since they don't use the natural law of economics, but they massage and use monetary policies and cosmetic ways to bring it down, it will rather be at a loss to the country. At this moment now, fine inflation above from, but Bank of Ghana is running loss for bringing the inflation down. But you increase your productivity as a country, you will naturally have a reduced inflation. We don't need to spend extra money to bring down a figure.
So, Mr. Amos, so that is how you think, say, the current government is using to bring the inflation down.
Yes.
So that is the only way. So, like, do you see the citizens benefiting from this inflation or per the explanation now, oh my, like though the inflation is down, but the citizens are still suffering per the explanation you gave. So do you think this whole thing is about absorbing the money, then there will not be a lot of money in the system, leading to say inflation number from, but still the people are still suffering. Do you see the people still suffering though there is low inflation rate?
So what happens is I'll target as robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Okay.
So to you, no, they will tell us the figure is down. But meanwhile, no, to say last year we're running 15 billion cedis loss. No, that money could have been on roads, could have been on health, could have been on education, could have been on increasing salary workers or market here. What you say? So why would we spend money to bring inflation down? And we could have done it naturally by increasing productivity, by boosting the agri sector. It what happens in the set. To say this year, you 96 billion loss. Your friend no equity because year and end year. It is a year and end not even annual west 96 billion cedis spent just to maintain inflation. That same Sikano could have gone to other sectors. That same Sikano could have improved the healthcare we are complaining about. And me personally, no, I want us to look at the long term. And yes, a short term, so we are sending money at 3.4 into many. Meanwhile, no, the cost of bringing that value to 3.4 no, is even dire.
So like now in this country the government has always been NPP NDC government.
Yes.
When you are juxtaposing your explanation or the current economic status in relation to the inflation that we are discussing currently, so what to talk the previous government, that is the NPP government, do you think, though when the NPP government was in power, the inflation rate was high, and now we have an NDC government who is in power, and then the inflation is low, but per your explanation, the inflation rate being low is as a result of robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly.
So do you think the NPP government did something better of keeping the inflation rate high, of which NDC government they need to continue it that way to keep the inflation rate higher as the NPP government did, but they didn't do, but they rather chose to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Okay, so what I would say is the previous government equally moved inflation from 54 to 24. And that particular year, no, Ghana had a loss. So the same thing happened. But then there was a change in monetary policy. So the year before 2025, Bank of Ghana did not run a loss. What you say? Inflation, or the mistake we normally do is say it is the rate of change. It's inflation back 3.4, and just say no matter what you. It just say the rate at which in your mother cost no, and I get reduced no. Into your man the baby than the daho, but the future increment no, and it has been slowed down. So media, it's not about this government has the best policy or the previous one, was better. What is happening is we should look at sustainable measures. We should look at best practices elsewhere because we are not just interested in the figure. So at the end of the day, at the 1.0, now we are spending all our valuable assets and money to keep it at 1.0. Not fine. Say I'm more the whole year price I'm more baby I done that. But me healthcare and kind me my yet market yet because na ye make sure say sa number no enkosoro. We could have used the same money or even less than that to boost the agri sector, to boost the production sector, so that the natural inflation will reduce rather than the monetary policy way. No? So my point is not even comparing which one is better or which one is not better. But the point is, it is time we focus on the means of those values on our mind because we deserve better. Politicians, they will do their thing, way they are lower than way they are higher than way. But at the end of the day, what is the cost of achieving that particular figure? And then again, I don't know if I can touch on the exchange rate now.
Yeah, you can.
So the exchange rate like this. Sometimes, how is the government reducing the exchange rate? The government is reducing the exchange rate by increasing supply of dollars rather than increasing demand of cedis. So generally, this currency works on supply and demand. If more people want your cedi will be better. So the reason why we have high exchange rates is that people don't want our cedi because our export is lower than our import. So I believe, say, to make something sustainable, governments should target increasing export and reducing import. But saa bold step, I am be able to because it may hurt you politically. So again, they use cosmetic means. So for instance, our dollar reserves, instead say you may increase the demand of your cedi, we won't do that, but we will increase supply. So the more you increase supply of dollars, naturally, or let me say artificially, it will bring down the exchange rate. So what government does is they do what they call spot auction and a future auction to the importers through the banks. So government will release dollars. Now you be as a black market in 15. Government will say, okay, let me bring my rate to, let's say, 14.5, so that the importers will not panic, will not have to chase the dollar so much, and let me increase the supply so that the dollars will be available to the importers. And in by doing that, the exchange rate will reduce. And that is what is happening now. And every year, we are depleting our dollar reserves. So my point is, the figures may be good, but the means you are using to achieve those figures is not the best. If you go to any developed country, their currency stability thrives on their productivity because they don't import. We are in this country, phone cover imported, toothpaste imported, rice, everything is imported. If there anything I am tackle on those issues, then we always want to be pumping dollar into the system through the central banks to increase excess supply of dollars to rather bring the exchange rate down. And nothing I'll be able to say, figure the whole, say the exchange rate has reduced. But what is the impact? Are we able to even purchase electricity, water? Are those things coming down? They are not coming down. What I say. So there's a difference between having the figure at this point and the figure really having impact on our goods and services.
If you compare, Ghanaians were complaining lately about the high dollar rate, the dollar to cedi rate
Yes.
in the previous government. And now the cedi rate is down. And you are saying the approach that brought the dollar to cedi rate down is not the right approach.
Yes.
But if you reach out to most Ghanaians, what they are also saying is like they also like the cedi being down, especially the business people. Somebody who will maybe first buy a dollar for like 15 Ghana cedis is now buying a dollar for like 11 Ghana cedis. So is it not having a positive impact on that person's business? So if you approach this particular person and try to explain to the person that though the dollar you are interested in because that is the money you use to do your business, the approach of which the dollar rate has come down is not the right approach. Do you think the person will agree with you?
So at the end say, oh yeah, report hospital. Metie me ya ne ama para na okofi dabi. Ye ma para na ye san hwe root cause no na ye treat. Say na be ya won san fa sa ya remember. But what happens in say we don't almost ever tackle the root cause. So how long is government going to be able to pump dollars into the system? The month government will cease pumping dollars through the spot auction to increase excess supply of dollars, you will see a capricious spike in the exchange rate.
So are you trying?
So why put the economy on an ICU? We are on a time bomb. Said the day we stop open market operations, inflation, ebeshutu. The day we stop pumping excess dollars into the system, the exchange rate will spike. Why do we want to put ourselves in such a precarious position rather than tackling it head on? And that is my problem. Say we should go beyond the figures and look at the means. Is it sustainable? It should not depend on the government of the day. What I say? I mean, we all here look at countries like Japan. whether who is the president, who is their currencies are stable. Some currency is stable. It is some decimal point be plus or minus 0.1 or 2. But in a month, it's moving from 12 to 13. 3 basis, it is too much. So we should make the whole thing in such a way that it does not really depend on the government of the day, because Obi Suban Okase meme pompe dollar in system. And secondly, there's a true value of the cedi. Mahama said it in one of his press conferences. The true value of the cedi is 12. And people should not be expecting it to come down to 8, 9 for speculating. So there's a true value of your currency and there's a cosmetic value of it. And how long can you let us keep this cosmetic value by pumping the dollar into the system? And Nameka said this dollar, no, when they are pumping, in order to beat the black market, they give it a lower interest, a lower rate. So we have a negative spreader. Oh yes, answer. Oh, Boka. So are we just interested in the figures, or we want to incur losses to make people happy? Say these figures is that figures is. I don't think it is the way to go.
Okay. So with the fuel, now fuel prices are low. Is the current government also using another approach to also bring this fuel prices? Because fuel prices were high as at when the previous government was leaving. But now the current government has bring the fuel prices low. Though it increases a bit, now we are around 13 point something, but still it's still lower than the previous government. So is there another approach? I think you are telling us so many approaches where the government is using to make it look like certain rates are low, of which when you go into reality, it's not like that. Do we have any another reality or a hidden reality on the fuel prices being low?
So for fuel price, so fuel is a commodity. Commodity prices, we are looking at cocoa price, fuel, or crude oil, coffee, gold. Those ones are highly impacted by the international market. So sometimes government does not really have much to do. The only thing government can contribute to a spike in fuel prices, taxes, and exchange rate. So for fuel prices, I will always say we are at the mercy of the international market. So there's a price of a barrel of oil on the market, and government will add a little taxes to it. So for commodity prices like gold, cocoa, and what we are talking about, the fuel prices, I think the politicians will always do their politics. But me personally, I believe we are at the mercy of the international market. Whatever the world market is going, that is how our country will go. So previously, when it was high, a barrel of crude oil was equally high on the international market. And when it is low, it will be low. The politicians, they know, but we were opposition, because they will never attribute it to the international market. So we know the truth, so we will not fall for some of those semantics. I believe commodity prices are strictly driven by the world market, and government only has a say in a little taxes they may add or may not add.
So can we say the previous government wasn't lucky because
yes, they had a poor market condition, and the same thing was for gold. If you check the gold price, the whole of last year, gold just moved in a straight line. We ended the year with $5,000 per ounce of gold. So sometimes, and cocoa like this. So Akufo-Addo was also fortunate with cocoa price, and Mahama is quite unfortunate with cocoa price, world market price. But since they always do the politicking, they may not know how to even defend themselves. But we will just go to the fact and just say it straightforward. So for commodity prices, I will just attribute it to the world market price.
So since we are also talking about the commodity price, and you mentioned cocoa, I would like us to tackle a little bit on agriculture too.
Okay.
So the cocoa, I think you have already explained it that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama happens to be not to be lucky on this cocoa pricing.
Yes.
Because international market the price has dropped, and
yes,
it has led to the dropping of the cocoa.
Yes.
So he's not lucky as compared to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo,
Yes.
of which the prices were high. So same thing happens to the petrol too. And at those time, petrol was also high
Yes.
at the international market, and he wasn't lucky. So Ghanaians too, because of the politics they do around everything, Ghanaians also use their words to attack them. So
Yes.
same thing is happening. So the current agric, there are a lot of policies being introduced by this current government. We have Nkokwan Kitenketen projects. They have a lot of programs
Sure.
that is being geared towards agric.
Yeah.
So do you see any impact from these programs, or is still young to measure the impact of the programs on agric growth in the country?
So a little bit on cocoa, then cocoa.
Yeah.
So cocoa prices. The reason why we have cocoa problem now, people are agitated, is because of the promises the government made. So what they don't tell the farmers is, cocoa trade, we hardly do spot trade. So let me explain. So when we use the spot market, it means if the cocoa, the ton is, so let's say $4,000 per ton, are we selling it at $4,000 today? We hardly do that. So cocoa is traded normally using the forward sales. So in the forward sales, the government's cocoa board, in trading, would now agree with the buyers that let's settle on $3,000 per ton and do a forward sale. So when the prices reduce, you still pay 3,000. When it increases, you still pay 3,000. Because of the commodity prices not certain, and farmers depend so much on it, they thought it wise to do it that way. It's been there for a very long time. So what happened was, around the time cocoa shot to 6,000 ton, $6,000 per ton, when they did the conversion, it will look like government is paying the cocoa farmers less. But meanwhile, government was not making revenue from the current price. Government had already done forward sales, so was getting money for a price they agreed on, which wasn't the current prevailing price. And they know. That's what I'm saying. For commodity price, it's really the international market. But it's the politics around it that sometimes makes us feel, say, oh, this government paid better, this did not pay better. But it is mostly driven by the world market. But with the Nkukwo Nketenkete, for me, I cannot speak on what I have not seen. I have not seen the policy happening. My only knowledge on the policy was a video I saw they were distributing in some constituencies.
Okay.
And there was no person who even had more than 100 bears. In the video, if it's anything to go by, it was 20, 15, 20. And personally, I don't feel people, if we really want to boost agric, and what was inhibiting people from doing large-scale poultry farm wasn't just lack of 15 young bears or something. So I don't know if there's another thing happening that I'm not privy to. But with what I've seen with them, I can say that I am not really impressed, because I don't know anyone, and I know so many people in this town, in my hometown, and I have friends I speak to. It is only unusual that none of the people I know in my circle has even received any bird. So if it is happening, then maybe it's on paper or I have not seen it. But if I'm speaking to what I have seen and the impact I have personally examined, I think I have not really seen much of that project. And if more room, if there could be more room for improvement, fine. But so far, I am not really seeing the impact.
I know by now another commentator or another a party member somewhere is also watching this video, and it's like, no, I need to also come to this studio and clarify certain things. I know I will get someone who will also come here. Yes, I'm open. I'm just trying to help the nation. So if you think whatever my guest is saying is not true, and you have the true facts to present, my doors are always open. You come here, we don't charge you anything. You come and express your view on the happenings of the country. At the end of the day, if the economy becomes better, we all enjoy. We all enjoy. It doesn't matter whether you talk against it or you talk for it. So we'll move on. We'll move on. Thank you. I know the Nkukwan Ketenkete is happening, but that there is a
So
phase.
I didn't say it is not happening.
Yeah, I heard you. You
But
said it's
I
happening,
have
but
not
you
seen
haven't
it.
seen it. People around you haven't received it.
There's nobody I know who has received.
I know. I know.
I
Yeah.
was. You see, that's why when I was answering, I
Yeah.
started by saying I cannot really speak to what I'm not privy to.
Yes.
So if what I have examined is anything to go by,
Yeah.
then I think nothing is happening.
Yeah.
But I have not seen it.
Yeah. I learned the first phase has been distributed. So they
Then
are
I have
doing
not
it.
seen it.
They are doing it.
I
in
don't know
phases.
anyone who received it.
Well. So
It
I
was
think
only a video I saw, and they were distributing it in 20 bears, 20 bears, 20 bears.
so
And I
so,
think
so viewers, if you
it
know
wasn't enough.
anyone who has received this best and as the number being quoted, that's 20 best. So if you know anyone who has received like 100,000 best, you can help us with those videos so that we will use it because people are watching and they want some clarifications. So we are not going to talk much on our break. Let's move on. Ministries, they opened the portal and I think they announced that they are going to do recruitment without certain specifications, of which is the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association. They came out to indicate they are starting from those who completed first before others, but the rest of the profession, they didn't make any specifications on the recruitment. The ministries released a memo concerning the people they recruited, of which they showed their names on social media, where they are going to be posted, where they selected to be the district and the region they selected, and also the year group that they gave access to the portal, of which allied health people were the 2019 people were given access to the portal, of which previously it wasn't announced. So 2020, 2021 people were all struggling to enter into the portal and it didn't work. So they end up being like, no, this is an aviator recruitment system or 419, of which the minister is having a lot of attacks on social media from these unemployed health personnel. So this whole health service recruitment, do you see it to be fair?
All right, thank you. So, first of all, the means of recruitment is very sad because now, rather than the normal posting people were used to, oh, you completed in 2018, 17, you are posting your year group, and once you have your once you are regulated, you are in good standing with your regulatory body, you get a posting. It is not like now. And the problem is, on what merit are we recruiting people now? Now it has been reduced to the fastest finger because if the portal is open, whoever gets in earlier gets the slot. And how should we reduce a recruitment system to the fastest finger? So I sat in a classroom with someone. I might have even did better than the person. I might even be skilled than the person. But all things being equal, I sat in the same class with the person, and he got a job ahead of me because my network was not the best, or I could not access it as faster as he was able to do it. But how was the system running before? We were in this country, there was a time we had the portal open for 2 weeks to make room for everyone to get on board. So I think this one is very unfortunate. People are getting employment not based on merit, based on the mere fact that they are faster with their internet. And personally, I don't know anyone who got this recruitment. So let me just play the devil's advocate. I believe the numbers they have churned out. Ally Health was 900, not so 900. And Ally Health has radiographers, laboratory practitioners, physiotherapists, and a whole lot of cadres. So if you are picking 900, Then how many radiographers can you take? In a year, KUST churns out over 300 students in just one field. Look at all the health colleges we have, and we are giving slot to only 900 people. And we will not even reduce it to an interview. Even if it was an interview, maybe someone can say, oh, I did better in the interview. But now, the only metric is that I had a phone and my phone was faster than my colleagues. And by virtue of that, I had a job ahead of them. 900 for the whole country, it is very inadequate. The system is very bad. And personally, I don't know anyone who got a slot. Anybody I spoke did not get, from pharmacists to allied health professions. There is nobody. And I asked over 50 people. So personally, I don't know anybody who had it. But I mean, let me play the devil's advocate. They did it. But the system was just not fair. And I do not know anybody who had it.
So, so the same thing happens at the education sector too, when they were doing the teachers recruitment.
Yes. The portal was closed in less than 24 hours.
That is what.
And it was also limited to the fastest finger first. So in Ghana, if you are in a very rural area like my hometown, or somewhere that the network is not robust, you will never be employed under this particular system, because this time you need a very fast internet speed like the Starlink or 4G MTN, TableNet, or something higher than that. Other than that, you may never be employed. So, not because you don't know or you're not in good standing, by mere fact that someone has a higher internet than you.
So will you agree with those calling it aviator recruitment?
I think aviator, when aviator came, I don't gamble. Yeah. I just tried it for information. I try how it works. Aviator, you even see some, but this one you don't see anything. so this one, the speed is, if we can compare to it, maybe the speed of light, aviator is even slower. Because the people I interviewed, my nephew is a radiographer. He logged onto the system, and the thing was, it was not opening. They even did a countdown, and it was supposed to open at 10 a.m. Yeah. At 10 a.m. when it was open, he logged in. There was no slot in all the regions, in all the institutions. My nephew. So if this is not faster than aviator, I don't know what is. So I believe that if you cannot, there's a reason why there were some of the years government did not recruit anybody. Yeah. If you feel you don't have the financial muscle to absorb a particular year group, let's be real with the people and let's wait till we have the means to. Then we will just declare 500 slots, we knowing that the people are more than, and we just resort it to this particular system. If you are not part of it, you may never understand the pain you are going through. Because my nephew was part, because my colleagues were part, I really felt very sad as a Ghanaian. And I believe that maybe the minister should come to the round table, really compare what is happening, the sentiments around, and maybe I believe he should do better. Okay. If this is the system we will have in Ghana running, I bet you there will be no point in anyone studying a health-related program. Because if I do my business call, become my business administration, I know I'm not waiting for any government to. I am going on a job hunt. But when you do a health course, the government has over 95% of health facilities. So clearly, that is the institution that can absorb. And I have to complete school and come to join the fastest finger first gang. Then I will not even advise anyone to read a health-related program going forward. If this is the system you are going to maintain. And it may look funny until you are part or a relative of yours is part.
So Mr. Amos, do you have something to say about the current education system? Do you think everything is okay?
Oh, well, for me, the education system needs a lot of reforms. Okay. We need a lot of improvement. But generally, I haven't seen much so far. Okay. I haven't seen much so far. I'll speak a little on the BEC, and I wish going forward they increase it from 1 week to at least 2 weeks, because they are all below 15 years. Yes. Even WASI, you have a month to write. Even the university, you have also a month to write. Yes. So why do we force these young children to writing 2 papers on a day? It has been the status quo. Let's change it. Personally, when I was writing my BEC, I was not able to even revise. Because by the time you get home, it's already late. How will you revise? So that is one thing I want the government to look at, revising the BEC duration and also generally improving the education system. I've not seen much so far.
Okay. So, Mr. Amos, last but not the least, is Doomso back?
Well, Doomso was back, but now it's better.
Okay.
So I think Doomso is just the light going off and on. Doomso is on Wikipedia.
Okay.
Yes. It's a word that was birthed in Ghana. Doomso doesn't care your reason. Whether you are fixing transformers, whether there's a fire outbreak at Akosomo Dam, whether Bui Dam is dried up. So if you say Doomso, Doomso is just a path fluctuation. It was there, but now it's better. I think they were attributing it to certain transformers and all that.
Like, are you sure it's better across the nation? Because you know we have, if you where you are currently, it's being regulated by NETCO.
It's true.
And
The
when you go
transmission is
to
totally
Ashanti
different.
region,
The
Greater
transmission is totally
Accra,
different.
Cape Coast, that central region, they are under ECG.
It's
And
very true.
mostly, when Doomso, we hear the word Doomso, it normally affects those at the ECG. But the NETCO people don't normally feel it.
Yeah, I'll agree with you.
So
on
I
that,
think
on that.
if you are saying it's better now, maybe because you are.
It's better compared to the last few weeks.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The metric is the last few weeks.
The current government promised that to tackle corruption in the country. Do you think the government is doing well in this corruption?
So corruption is a perception.
Okay.
Sometimes corruption does not mean someone has stolen. Sometimes corruption simply means I suspect someone has stolen. Sometimes corruption simply means propaganda about someone that people have perceived. So if you realize, it's always a corruption perception index that is released.
Okay.
That's a metric for measuring corruption. It's a perception index. So corruption is a perception. And when people perceive there's corruption, there's nothing you can do about it. Perception is stronger than the truth.
Okay.
So in the previous government, people perceived that so much corruption was happening here and there.
Okay.
We are 2 years in. What we want is people to be prosecuted and jailed.
Okay.
And everyone will be happy. But we are in a country where every day we have an attorney general who will launch a press conference. Oh, I've discovered Asumesi has stolen this and this and this and that. But that energy should be channeled to the law court.
Okay.
And who is in jail now? Dubuahen is around, or Giftawari is around. All the names, they are still around. And yet, nothing has happened. So for me, I think those who perceived that corruption is there, they should tackle it. If people have done anything wrong, prosecute them. There was Pura, and now I don't hear anything again. For me and anybody watching will be happy if people who are found culpable are brought behind the bars. So we should just move from the perception that we perceive this person is corrupt, we perceive, and let's get to the law court, try them, and then jail them. I think that will serve everyone better. Not so.
Wow. So I think we will bring our video to an end. We have recorded a lot, and I know a lot of people are going to watch the video. A lot of people are watching. I know a lot of people are watching this video, and we will surely get a counter attack on this particular video. So if you also think the other way, you are always welcome to come and also share your view. This is the view of our brother, Mr. Amos Niamaduadu. So you may also have a different view of what he is also saying. And you must also come along with your facts. If you look at his speech, he was always factual. So there is no way attacking him. There's no way attacking him. So if you have a different view from his, or you want to also explain something more or something better from his, you are always welcome to the studio. So, Mr. Amos, you are welcome.
Oh, thank you,
We
sir.
really enjoyed this
It's a pleasure.
conversation.
It's a
Yeah, we
pleasure.
really enjoyed it because I think a lot of people who are going to watch this video are going to learn a lot, and I think there is going to be a mindset change towards certain things. And uh, when we were about to start, you made mention you are a commentator. You are a commentator, and you are going to be a social commentator.
Yeah.
And I must applaud you for that. You did justice to that one
Thank
because
you.
you weren't political.
Thank
You weren't, as I always do. Though our country is full of politics, and when you say something true, and it goes against a certain political party, then the political party member start attacking you. That no, you are this political party or you are that political party. Since we are living in Ghana, we cannot do away with politics. But when you say it and it goes in favor of a particular party, then they will be like, yo, this person is intelligent. This person is really, really intelligent. But when it goes against them, they say you know they just paint you that you know nothing about it. So thank you for your time,
Welcome.
and myself and my cherished viewers are most grateful for your visit. So thank you.
Welcome, my brother.